In 2017, the founder, who just walked away from Talabat's $170 million sale, walked into a struggling Kuwait flower shop, and he saw something that no one else saw. 8 years later, that same flower shop had grown into Floward, a regional gifting company whose revenues had multiplied 50 times over. They are now preparing to list on the public stock market. So how does a single struggling shop in a $1.5 billion underserved market become a company that institutional investors line up to back? Abdulaziz Loughani and his co-founders saw something most people missed. While the market looked at Q8 Flowers, which stands for Kuwait Flowers, and saw just another struggling local flower business, Loughani saw something else. He saw a foundation he could build on. Here's what the gifting market actually looked like at that time.
We weren't the first to sell flowers, hence why the $1.5 billion market, right? It's very established, thousands of mom and pop shops. But we were very determined to be maybe the first to really tackle the gifting, that sender-recipient experience, right? And I think that's what really made us unique. It's our focus on gifting. We live in the Arab world. Many of us, it's just our values, our traditions, all call for generosity and gratitude. It's very much embedded in our DNA.
Gifting is woven into the fabric of life across the GCC. Whether it's weddings, Eid, graduations, the relationships that close business deals, it's not optional, it is expected. If you live in the GCC, you know what I'm talking about. And yet, the market that served all of these moments was fragmented, unreliable, underserved. Now, here is the part most people skip past. A lot of founders had already noticed this gap, and a lot of companies had already tried to fill it. Most of them failed. So when an investor looks at a new entrant in this space, the first question they ask is not, is there a market? The market is already there, it's obvious. The question is, why would this one work when so many others didn't? I want you to sit with that question for a moment, because it is the same question every serious buyer or investor will ask about your business. Loughani had an answer, and it was a very specific one. He believed that whoever solved the consistency problem, not just the convenience problem, would own this market.
Yes, so I invested in this company around 2.5 years ago. It was a small company called Q8flowers.com. It was 3 years ago. And management back then did not feel that they are ready to take this journey forward as we had invested in. So I found myself still wanting to go through this journey again. I rolled up my sleeves and here I am.
That right there is the exit builder mindset. He didn't acquire Q8 Flowers because it was winning. He acquired it because it had the bones, the infrastructure that he could rebuild into something a future investor or buyer would have to pay a premium for. Quick question before we go any deeper. Ask yourself, honestly, if you had to expand your business to a completely different city tomorrow, same quality, same customer experience, could you do it? If the answer is no, then what you have is not a business yet. It's a job. It's a glorified job that consumes you, that you can't step away from. That's the exact problem Floward set out to solve. So stick with me because this is where it gets good. Now, Abdulaziz Loughani was not a first-time founder. Before Floward, he was the CEO of Talabat, Kuwait's food delivery pioneer. He understood from the inside what it meant to build a market leader from nothing. But here where it gets interesting. He also understood that food delivery and gifting are two completely different businesses. And he knew that if he applied the wrong playbook, he would kill the company before it even got started. It helped me understand the exact skill set we needed to achieve our goals. Leading Talabat also equipped me with deeper operational experience and faster execution capabilities. I knew the importance of unit economics from day one at Floward, and that's what we built the business around. Unit economics from day one. That phrase is not an accident. That is a founder who has already been through the acquisition process once and who knows from experience exactly what sophisticated buyers will scrutinize when they put your business under the microscope. But here's what made Floward's challenge fundamentally harder than Talabat's. With food delivery, the game is speed and convenience. The customer wants their food in 30 minutes. That's it. This is all they care about. Now, gifting is an entirely different game. You cannot sacrifice consistency for speed. In gifting, one bad delivery does not just lose you a customer, it damages the relationship. Here's how Loughani himself describes the standard they had to hold.
We are a direct-to-consumer gifting platform. We procure different types of flowers, jewelry, health and beauty items, confectionaries. We store them in our fulfillment centers. And on demand, we prepare the orders and deliver them within an hour across a radius of maybe 100 to 200 kilometers.
To lead this market, you cannot just be fast. You have to be perfect every single time, or at least this is how your customer should be perceiving you. That is the constraint that defines this business, and it is exactly what separates the companies that scale from the ones that plateau. And if your business is fighting just to keep the lights on right now, these systems matter more, not less. We will go deeper on what to do when you're in distress in a future episode. For now, stay with me because the principles you are about to see do not require a perfect business. They require an honest one. The answer Floward found to the consistency problem is what serious buyers and serious investors actually look for. They do not buy revenue, they buy systems. Predictable, repeatable systems that work without the founder in the room. And Floward proved that they had exactly that. Here's the thing about real scale. The harder you push it, the more it exposes the cracks in your culture. Most startups obsess about their competitors. Floward did the opposite.
At the end of the day, what we're doing is just having more people do greater things. And unfortunately, though that culture, if it's not carefully designed, will fall out when the company scales and as your business gets bigger. So we paid very close attention to it.
An almost fanatical focus on their own execution. That phrase matters. It is not arrogance. It is how you build a repeatable operation that crosses borders without losing what makes the product special in the first place. But culture on its own is just a value on a wall. Floward's answer to that problem is what I call the culture carrier model.
In the evolution of that functional structure, as we grew materially, as we scaled, we had tens of people join us, then hundreds, and then now we've crossed 1,000. How can you really, alhamdulillah, how can you really maintain that culture? And it's by giving more autonomy for teams to scale, because you don't want to disrupt the business itself. You want to make sure that different teams, different geographies have some sort of code that they need to go by. These are the guidelines that you need to stick to.
The guidelines become the guardrails, and the team runs at full speed with full autonomy without ever veering off course. If you stepped away from your business for 30 days, not a vacation, a full absence. Off grid, the phone is off. Would the culture hold, or would it quietly unravel while you were gone? Drop your honest answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. The ultimate test of any culture and any system is a crisis. And in 2020, every business in the world faced the same one. While most companies were in survival mode, cutting their teams, pausing their expansion, waiting for the storm to pass, Floward leaned in. The culture of autonomy that they had built before the pandemic became their greatest competitive advantage during it.
وانه كنا على قدر الاستعداد بعد توسعنا الاولي اللي كان في السعوديه، انه كان عندنا التكنولوجي الصح، كان عندنا التيم الصح، وكان عندنا خلاص بنينا البروسيسز والبروسيجرز اللي ممكن ان ننطلق فيها بسرعه في اي مدينه ودوله. فالحمد لله توفقنا فيها. I think في يعني 2020 كنا من 3 مدن نشتغل الى 15 مدينه وصلنا. اي فالحمد لله. حتى دول مثل لندن فتحناها، يعني برا الخليج كانت لندن يمكن is the biggest challenge.
They did not wait for the market to tell them it was safe. Their teams had the autonomy and the clarity to keep pushing forward. Flowerd's revenues grew 50 times during the pandemic. Can you believe that? From $22 million to $95 million. While most of their competitors went quiet. This is what I think makes Floward the leader in the premium gifting market across the GCC. 3 things working together, compounding on each other. A repeatable operations playbook, a culture where every employee carries the company's values with them wherever they go, and a CEO who genuinely treats his team as his North Star. Now, here's the masterstroke. The move that put Floward on the map for institutional investors. So in November of 2022, Floward acquired a company called Mubkhar, a fast-growing GCC fragrance and gifting brand that had built 4 retail outlets from scratch over 6 years. This was not a random diversification play. This was a strategic move with a very specific message. Floward was not just expanding their product line. They were proving something to the market, to future investors, and to any banker who would one day evaluate their case for a public listing. They were proving that the Floward playbook works beyond flowers. And here is the number that proves it. Within 9 months of that Mubkhar acquisition, those 4 retail stores had grown to 34 across 4 countries: Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Bahrain. Same playbook, different product category, multiplied by 8 in less than 1 year. That is not diversification. That is proof that the playbook works. If you're watching this and recognizing that your own business is still too dependent on you to scale the way Floward did, you are in the right place. Every month we decode these blueprints from the inside to help you as a founder or an owner maximize your options. Whether that means selling, bringing investors on board, or one day stepping back and retiring on your own terms. Hit subscribe and join the community of exit builders. So what does the Floward story actually teach us? 3 principles. They work whether you're a startup, a traditional family business, an SMB, at any stage, in any sector. 1. Solve the consistency problem before you solve the scale problem. Loughani knew that gifting demanded perfection at every single touch point. So, he built the operational machine to deliver that perfection before he pushed into a single new city. If your product or service experience falls apart when you grow, you are not ready to grow yet. 2. Your culture is your operations manual. Floward did not scale by writing longer rule books. They scaled by recruiting culture carriers, people who understood the mission so deeply that they could make the right call in any situation, in any country, without picking up the phone to call the headquarters. 3. A platform is more valuable than a brand. And the way you prove you have a platform is by repeating yourself. I know it's confusing, right? Let me explain what I mean, because this is the most important concept in this whole episode. A brand has one engine. A platform can power many engines. And here's why investors care about the difference. A brand is worth what its single product earns. A platform is worth what every product it could ever launch is worth. Mubkhar was Floward's proof they had built a platform. They took a fragrance brand with 4 locations, 4 outlets, plugged it into the Floward operating system, and grew it into 34 outlets in 9 months. Same playbook, different product. This is what investors mean when they say something is platform ready. Now, you might be thinking, I'm not buying companies anytime soon. So what does this have to do with me? You don't need to acquire a company to test whether you have a platform. You can test it the moment you open a second location, the moment you launch a second product line, the moment you hire a country manager and ask them to run things without you. 3 things travel well to a second location. 1, your processes. Are they written down somewhere or they're just in your head? 2, your standards. Can someone who has never met you deliver the same customer experience that you would deliver yourself? 3, your decision making. When something unexpected happens at 3 in the morning in a city you've never been to, does someone on your team know what to do? Or do they have to call you and wake you up in the morning? If even one of them lives in your head, you have a brand. And the brand always sells less than a platform. If you're not subscribed yet, this is the moment. We release 1 full episode, a breakdown like this, every month. From a single struggling flower shop in Kuwait to 50 times the revenue to a company preparing to list on the public stock market. This is not luck. This is design.
Think of an exit from the early days?
I wouldn't, honestly, لأن it's not in your control or hands. But I would do all the right things to build a company that lasts forever. And if you build that company, you'll always be ready, right? If you don't take legal shortcuts, if you keep your books clean, if you put your governance in order, if you select your investors wisely, execute on the strategy, vision, start with a product, but maybe later on have one vision with multiple products, scale properly and demonstrate your capability of scaling, have the right team.
This is what Exit Builders is about. Building your company the right way so that one day selling, listing, or simply stepping back becomes a choice, an option, not a necessity, a choice. One more thing before I go. We have now decoded Kareem, Talabat, and Floward. 3 different companies, 3 very different paths to a rewarding outcome. But one common thread runs through all of them. The founders who got the best outcomes were the ones who built for optionality long before they needed it. I'm Adel. This is Exit Builders. I hope this was useful. Thank you for watching. Until next time.